When it comes to The Legend of Zelda, it's no surprise that I'm a huge fan. I started my Legend of Zelda journey on the Super Nintendo with A Link to the Past. I would play it almost every single time I went to my grandma's house after school. I could never beat it. And quite honestly, my cousins had already beaten the game and I played on their save file without them knowing. Thanks guys, sorry about that. But over the years, I played more and more Zelda games. Almost all of them, actually, with a select few I haven't played yet, and one that I'm currently streaming over on my Twitch, wink. But for today's video, we're going to cover my top 5 Zelda games. When it comes to Breath of the Wild, I have played since the absolute beginning. I was in line at a local Walmart to grab a Switch and Breath of the Wild at midnight, and I went home that night and fired it right up. I was still living at home at the time, and my dad worked night shift. He came home at 4 in the morning, opened my door, and saw me playing Breath of the Wild, and he was in awe of how beautiful it was. Breath of the Wild was a game that defined open world, but it was not without its flaws. Graphically, the game is a gorgeous and beautiful world, with so much to offer, so much to learn, and so much to explore. However, the biggest gripe with the game are the dungeons, and with good reason. They're not really dungeons. The shrines are a good mini dungeon, and the divine beasts were fun for the first 2 I did, but after that, they just kind of felt lackluster. They were lacking what made a Zelda dungeon a Zelda dungeon. But all in all, Breath of the Wild was one of my favorite games to play, and quite honestly, I'm excited to revisit it and Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch too. This one is a bit of a doubleheader, because I'm putting both the Oracle games together since they're an interconnected world. Now, the Oracle games were 2 of the best selling on the handheld, and for good reason. The games are as close to a masterpiece as you could get. I never played these as a kid, but I did play them a few years ago to completion, and I had completed both of these games within a week of each other. Both games were focused on one thing. Ages was focused on puzzles, traveling back and forth in time to change the dungeons in the world, while Seasons was more focused on exploration and the action on the overworld. Its main gimmick, of course, being the ability to change seasons. Most of the dungeons in both of the games are super memorable and fun, but of course there are some that I didn't like. Looking at you, Jabu Jabu's belly. Imagine yourself as a child getting your first GameCube. What would have been your first game? Well, mine was not The Wind Waker. In fact, mine was Metroid Prime. But a few months later, I did end up renting The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker from our local movie rental store. And I'm just showing my age here. I couldn't ever really get into The Wind Waker. I rented it multiple times, tried to get into it, but for some reason, I was a stupid kid and kept getting lost. At one point, my parents decided to buy me the game since I was renting it so much. I can remember going to Barnes & Noble at our closest mall, and it was close to an hour away, and that was where I picked up the strategy guide to The Wind Waker. After that, I realized how much I adored this game. Whenever I'd get lost, I'd check the guide and figure out where to go. The Wind Waker was one of the first games I ever beat by myself. But enough reminiscing, what makes The Wind Waker my number 3 pick? Well, that's pretty easy. Almost everything. The Wind Waker has some of my favorite dungeons of all time, but also some of my most hated. I absolutely love the atmosphere of the Forbidden Woods to the Tower of the Gods. But of course, the 2 I didn't enjoy the most were the ones you had to carry around Makar and Medley. But even then, those dungeons are still unique in their own right. But the atmosphere of Wind Waker is unmatched. Sailing across the Great Sea, going to different islands, facing off against Ganon in the final showdown, it's a beautiful and wonderfully made game, and it's close to a masterpiece. And no surprise to anyone, my first ever Zelda game is in my number 2 spot. A Link to the Past will always hold a very special place in my heart. From the opening stormy scene to saving the Seven Maidens to finally putting Ganondorf back in the ground. This game is a beautiful, wonderful game. There are some moments that do bother me, like getting 500 rupees to buy a pair of flippers? But even then, grinding out the rupees isn't so bad, I suppose. The atmosphere of A Link to the Past is great. Each dungeon is unique and most are extremely fun to explore. Again, as a kid, I sucked at video games. But as I got older, I started playing A Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance, and on the GBA is where I first beat A Link to the Past. I can remember traveling through the land of Hyrule, swiping my sword at any guard that dared cross his path with me, exploring the Eastern Palace to the Tower of Hera, and finally traveling to the Dark World and battling my way to the final confrontation with Ganon. I still asked my cousins for help at the time, but when I finally beat it, it was one of the greatest moments of my childhood life. And now, in the present day, A Link to the Past still holds that special place in my heart. It's made even more special to me with the Link to the Past randomizer. I do runs every now and again, but not as often as I used to. Hey there, sorry to barge in right before the number one pick, but I just want to ask you guys, if you're enjoying the video, to like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and also check out my main channel, Nostalgia Glasses. I post more retro content over there, and I'm currently working on a big video right now. So feel free to go check that out after this video is done. Thanks, guys! You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? Those words have rung in my ears since before I even played Majora's Mask. As a kid, I didn't get games all that often. Like I mentioned earlier, I would typically rent them from our local video store, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask was one of them. I was too young to really understand the core mechanics of the game, so as a kid I was very frustrated with it. From the time limit to the confusing and complicated dungeons, I gave up pretty easily. Then fast forward to February 2015 and Majora's Mask 3D was released. Before it came out, I went to my local GameStop and ordered a new 3DS XL and Majora's Mask. Leading up to its release, I researched the game, figuring out the mechanics and learning all that I could. Majora's Mask 3D released just the day before my birthday. And for my birthday that year, I had a wonderful gift: toe surgery. So I had a lot of time to work on Majora's Mask. I can remember sitting in my recliner in my bedroom and playing Majora's Mask all day. I read about the changes to the game from the N64 version, but since I didn't play the N64 version all that much, it didn't bother me a whole lot. But back to it. Majora's Mask is my #1 Zelda game for its story and atmosphere alone. Learning about the world of Termina, the citizens of Clocktown, going through the side quests for masks, it was a beautiful and humbling experience, but also somewhat traumatic. From braving the poisoned waters of the southern swamp to climbing the frozen Snowhead Mountain to swimming through the ocean by Great Bay, Majora's Mask's environments are unmatched and absolutely beautiful. The music is haunting, the world is haunting, but deep down there's hope. Being able to rewind time like nothing happened whenever you needed it was such a unique mechanic. Playing the calming melody of the Song of Healing, to gathering the 3 unique transformation masks, to facing Majora in the heart of the moon. Majora's Mask is an absolute masterpiece of a game, and that's why it lands its place as my top Zelda game of all time. Well, there you have it. There's my top 5 Zelda games of all time. Now, again, there are some games that I haven't played, like Echoes of Wisdom. I haven't even touched that game yet. Or Triforce Heroes, which I refuse to touch. But currently I am playing through Twilight Princess, and if I like it enough, maybe I'll add it to the video. We'll see. But with that in mind, guys, thank you so much for watching, and again, if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. And be sure to check out my main channel, Nostalgia Glasses. Right now, I'm currently working on a Donkey Kong 64 video, and it's a pretty big video. I'm excited for the ending of Season 2 of Nostalgia Glasses, and Season 3 is already shaping up to be pretty freaking cool. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!